If you're the one chasing her, you've already lost. But when you become the kind of man she has to chase, everything shifts. The moment you need her response to feel okay, you've already moved from the center to the sidelines. You know the scene. You pick up your phone, heart racing when you see red. She's online but doesn't reply. You stay quiet, wait, then reopen the chat and reread every word you sent. It felt solid when you wrote it. But now, it feels off. You start wondering, did I come on too strong? Did I kill the vibe, that sting you feel it's real? It's the moment you realize what you didn't want to admit. You're waiting. You're needing. You're slowly chipping away at yourself just to be chosen. The problem isn't her. It's that you've handed your emotional state to someone who never promised to protect it. She never said you were her only option, but you acted like she was your last one. This is a common mistake men make today, believing that being kind, proactive, and attentive will automatically earn respect. But the truth is, women don't respond to effort alone. They respond to energy. The energy of a man who knows exactly who he is, who doesn't need validation, and who doesn't base his actions on someone else's reactions. You didn't get rejected because you're not good enough. You got rejected because your energy gave off instability. You react. You read into things. You tweak yourself just to avoid losing points, and she picks up on all of it. She's not angry. She's not judging. She just loses the spark. Women don't fall through logic. They fall through feeling. And nothing creates a stronger emotional pull than a man who leaves them wondering. Not because he plays games, but because he lives by his own gravity, unaffected by external reactions. You've probably heard, be proactive. Make her feel special. Always message first if you're serious. And you followed those rules with full sincerity. That's not wrong. The issue isn't the advice. The issue is your position. You're doing these things from a place of lacking value, not from a place of already having it. You message her, not because you feel like connecting, but because you're scared she'll forget you. You give gifts, not because you're generous, but because you're hoping for a return signal. You initiate, not because you're leading, but because you're terrified of being left behind. And that ruins everything. In her eyes, you're not wrong, you're just too easy to read. Too predictable. Too available. There's nothing left to discover. Her feelings fade, not because you're unworthy, but because you've lost your mystery, your steadiness, and the masculine pull that once intrigued her. This isn't just about romance. It's about how you're living. A man who's lost in love is usually a man without clear direction in the rest of his life. You keep hoping that one day your kindness will be noticed. But kindness without gravity is just beautiful begging. If you can still feel the truth, then from this moment on, you get to choose. Keep playing the role of the nice guy who gets left behind, or stand up. Fix your posture and return to the essence of who you are as a man. You don't need someone to pick you to prove you're worthy. You need to rebuild your spine, protect your energy, and give your attention to the right person, starting with yourself. If you've been there, waiting disappointed, thinking you were doing it right, this is the moment things have to change. If something you heard made you pause and look inward, drop a comment, I choose power. And if you think this video is something another man needs to hear, like, share and subscribe to Victory Stoic. We don't say what's easy to hear, we say what needs to be heard. Now here's the next question. Why do you need to be this grounded, composed, and self-led just to hold a woman's interest? Why do women not choose the man who loves them most, but instead get pulled toward the one who barely seems to need them? If you want an honest answer, you have to set your ego aside and face what most men avoid. Women don't respond to promises, they respond to instinct. And instinct doesn't care how nice you are. It just scans. Can I trust this man to hold me? and lead to understand why you have to go back to something written into millions of years of evolution. Mate selection by the female. Women are drawn to the man who can lead, protect, and provide. Not because they're materialistic, but because their brains are wired by nature to seek security. You might not like hearing that. It might feel outdated, unfair, or out of touch. But instinct doesn't care about fairness. It just exists, and it drives human behavior far more than logic ever will. Go back to the beginning, the wild. In the animal world, females don't choose males because they're sweet or gentle. They choose the ones who are strong, who own territory, who bring food, who can fight off threats. If a male doesn't have those things, he doesn't mate. It's that simple, that brutal, and that undeniable. Humans used to live the same way. In primitive times, survival depended on whether the man could hunt, build shelter, and protect the group. The woman pregnant, nursing, or raising children had no backup plan. She had one shot to choose the right man. A wrong choice meant death. Today's women still carry the genes of those who chose right. Their subconscious is still wired to scan. Is this man someone I can count on in the primal sense? Can he lead, protect, and provide? That's why men with leadership, energy, capability, and financial stability pull women in without trying. Her instincts detect a strong genetic bet. But no, you don't have to be a millionaire or a fighter. You just have to stop giving off signals that subconsciously tell her you're not masculine enough to be trusted with her full self. This is the crucial point that most men miss. You can be incredibly strong. You can make good money, have a clear purpose, know exactly what you want. But if you act in a way that signals to her subconscious that you need her to feel okay, the connection gets cut instantly. You don't even have to say it. Just texting too often, acting overly eager, waiting for her replies, analyzing every little reaction to avoid messing up to you, it feels like sensitivity. But to her subconscious, it screams instability, lack of leadership, and emotional imbalance. She doesn't process it logically. She feels it. And once that feeling kicks in, no amount of rational explanation can save you. Women have a built-in neurological response called the mate filter. It works like radar, constantly scanning your posture, how you handle silence, how you respond to pressure. All of it goes into her instinctual database. You're either worth chasing or worth forgetting. You might be successful, have a house, a car. But if you show fear of lost text too much, constantly check if she's okay, her subconscious fires off a warning. This man is not emotionally stable. Why? Because her instincts know a grounded man doesn't lose balance over small challenges. A strong man doesn't let his emotional state be controlled by someone else's reaction. And here's the brutal part: the subconscious doesn't wait for your explanation. You may think I'm just being caring, but she doesn't hear your intentions. She feels your energy. Kindness coming from a grounded man is magnetic. Kindness coming from a man who's afraid to lose her feels like a burden. A woman can look at you and think, he's smart, nice, polite. But if she doesn't feel I want to be led by this man, she won't fall in love. Because love is not a decision. It's a chemical reaction rooted in instinct. And instinct looks for masculine energy, the highest level it can find. It doesn't respond to words. It responds to how you stand, how you move, how you speak or stay silent. Ever notice how some guys don't say much, aren't that good looking yet? Women gravitate to them. It's because they radiate something simple. I don't need you to survive. But if you enter my life, be ready to be led. They don't ask for love. They don't prove anything. They just exist, solid, centered, undisturbed. And that's what makes a woman feel safe enough to soften. Like ivy climbing a stone wall, soft, but drawn to strength. But if you need her too much, she has to stay strong for both of you. her subconscious starts imagining herself being the emotionally stable one. Women don't want to carry a relationship. If they have to maintain the peace comfort you every time you're insecure or become your emotional support system, their feelings start to fade. Not because they're selfish, but because they're being asked to go against their own nature. That's the painful part. You do have value. You have worked hard to become a good man, someone with principles, someone who loves with his whole heart. But just a few poorly timed actions, a few unstable responses can destroy the image she had of you. It's unfair, but it's real. It's like holding a flagship phone, powerful specs, beautiful design, but the moment it lags just 1 second when opening the camera, you feel like it's not worth it. Women are the same. Their reactions aren't based on your resume. They respond from deep subconscious instincts. You might be a very masculine man, but if your behavior gives off the wrong signals, she'll misjudge you. And no one can save you from that but yourself. The solution isn't to fake anything or hide your feelings. The solution is to return to your masculine core, to know who you are, know what you want, and know what truly deserves your attention and what doesn't. When you stop chasing not out of boredom or playing games, but because you're actually busy building the life you believe in, women start seeing you differently. You're no longer the guy texting. What are you thinking about? You become the man she wonders about. What's he up to that he's not texting me anymore? That's the turning point. You're not changing to become more attractive. You're just stopping the behaviors that made you less attractive. And once you get that, everything about how women respond to you starts to shift. And once you understand that women respond by instinct, that they're drawn to men who lead, protect, and create emotional safety, a new question pops up. Is there anything more modern than this primal stuff? Isn't all of this kind of outdated that the answer lies in human behavioral psychology? Not just for women, for people in general. We don't value what comes too easily. Anything that's free, we take for granted. Anything we had to earn, we hold on to tighter. No one truly values what comes too easily. Not even you. That shirt you had to work 2 extra weeks to afford. You take better care of it than any shirt someone gifted you for free. That watch you hunted for a month before finally buying. You always know exactly where it is, like you're afraid of losing it. But something handed to you at no cost, even if it's worth twice as much, usually ends up tossed somewhere, used a few times, then forgotten. Women are no different. In fact, their reaction to free value is even stronger, because they don't just engage out of need, they respond emotionally. And emotion doesn't come from things that are easily accessible. It comes from what demands time, effort, and energy to hold on to. The harder it is to get, the more valuable it feels. The easier it is to grasp, the easier it is to forget. The more available you are, the more invisible you become. You text the second she reads your message. You don't make her wait a second. You reply fast, polite, smooth, no tension, no edge. When she takes a while to respond, you can't breathe. Half your work shift is spent staring at your phone. She casually invites you to dinner with 10 minutes notice, and you drop everything, even though she might disappear for a month without a word after that. You don't set boundaries. You don't make her wait. You don't show her you have a life of your own. In your mind, that's how you show you're serious, that you're a different kind of man, that you're not playing games. But in her psychology, the effect is the opposite. The more accessible you are, the less value she assigns to you. This isn't a flaw in women. It's how the human brain works. Even you, when you find an amazing movie that's free to download in 1 click, you don't watch it right away. But if that same movie is playing for only 3 days and tickets are $200 each, you'll show up tonight. Humans, not just women, are wired to associate emotional value with the price they pay. Now look at yourself. When was the last time you were truly captivated by a woman? Was it when she was a little cold, when you weren't sure if she liked you back, when you had to carefully craft each reply so you wouldn't mess up the fragile rhythm of conversation? You valued her, not just because she had worth, but because she didn't give you easy access. She held back some energy, some mystery, and that made you invest emotionally, pay attention, and give your time. The more you invested, the more worth it she felt, and the more afraid you became to lose her. Now flip that. She's the same. She'll invest in you if you're not something anyone can just grab. If you have boundaries, if you're not available 24/7, if you don't instantly react to every little signal she puts out, if she has to work to understand you, to hold on to you, to get you to open up. But if she doesn't have to do anything, if she never worries about losing you, if she never has to wonder when you're free, then in her mind, your value starts to drop. Not because you did something wrong, but because you removed the investment mechanism. And the human brain simply doesn't cherish what it didn't have to invest in. You might be kind, capable, sincere, but if you give everything with no limit, no test, you accidentally turn yourself into a giveaway. And no one values a giveaway. They grab it, use it, and forget it. Meanwhile, some men who don't try to be attractive, who don't even do much, end up keeping women chasing them for months. Why? Because they know how to keep distance, set limits, and stay composed. And that silence makes women want to unlock them. So if you've ever wondered why a guy who's rough, reserved, maybe even a little detached, ends up with women chasing him, this is why. He doesn't broadcast free access. He gives off the signal, I'm not easily bought. And that's when a woman's subconscious lights up. This one is worth figuring out. Note, being distant doesn't make you attractive. Acting like you're above it all doesn't make you powerful. But if you don't have the inner strength to stay composed and non-reactive, then every kind gesture you offer will feel cheap. The more eager you are, the more you give without reserve, the less she values it. Because her mind has no context to assign worth to you. Desire is born in the presence of risk. What can be had at any time is never deeply wanted. That applies to feelings, to relationships, to attraction itself. Ever noticed how she suddenly starts reaching out more when you stop texting for a few days, when you're genuinely busy and don't reply right away? When you stop needing constant affirmation from her? It's not because you're playing games. It's because suddenly you became something she has to invest in, to keep. And that's when her emotional system gets back on track. I want this. I'm afraid to lose it. That must mean it's valuable. Don't make yourself easily available. Don't assume that the more love you give, and the sooner you give it, the more it'll be valued. Love only has weight when it's given at the right time, in the right measure, from the right position. But if you put it all out there like a kid proudly showing off a toy, what you're doing is inviting her to look, then walk away. She's not ungrateful. She just has no reason to cherish what was handed over freely before she even had time to develop feelings. Real value isn't about how much you can give. It's about knowing when not to. You might think loving her enough is all it takes. That if you do everything right, respect her, stay loyal, and never lie, she'll stay. But the harsh truth is, she doesn't just want to feel loved. She wants to feel lucky to have you. And that feeling doesn't come from your kindness. It comes from the value you create in the real world through your achievements, your status, your energy, and how others respond to you. Especially other women. Women don't compete for a man who's easy to get. They compete for the man who's so valuable. Other women silently want him too. That unspoken truth is what defines attraction in a woman's subconscious. So the next question is, does she see you as a man that other women desire? Or are you just the one desperate to win her over, like she's your only option? She doesn't just want to love you. She wants to be proud of you. Not proud because you're gentle or a good listener or never make her cry. Those things to her are minimum standards. They're baseline. Expected. They don't make her feel special. They don't make her shine in a room. They don't make her crown sparkle. What makes her proud is when she looks around at other women and knows they want you, but can't have you. That the man they watch, they whisper about, they try to impress, is standing next to her, choosing her, resting his hand on her waist as they move through the crowd. That's instinct, not because she's petty or selfish, but because women fall in love through the feeling of winning. She wants to feel like she hit the jackpot, that she made the right choice, that she owns something rare and hard to get. And if you don't give her that feeling, no matter how good you are, she'll feel like something's missing. Women tie their emotions to status. They don't just want someone who loves them. They want someone who, by standing next to him, makes them feel like their own value rises, like they've been upgraded, like being with him changes the way others look at them. The more accomplished you are, the more respect you command, the more other women hesitate around you, the more you give her something priceless that can't be bought with gifts or compliments. Pride in having won over a man that others want, but not everyone is qualified to keep. She won't say this out loud, but she lives it every day, in the way she picks her profile picture, in the way she walks into a party with you, in the glance she gives to another girl's boyfriend, just to compare, in the quiet satisfaction of seeing her man admired by others, then returning to her as if silently declaring victory. The more successful, self-governed, and principled you are, the more she feels she chose well, and the more she'll invest, hold on, and fight to keep you. But if all you bring to the table is love, with no foundation, no direction, nothing beyond affection, she'll slowly start to feel like she's the one doing the saving. And when a woman starts to feel pity, attraction begins to die. Don't get it wrong. A woman can stay with a man going through tough times, but only if he still has purpose, presence, and commands respect. Success isn't just money or titles. Success is when you possess something others can't fake or ignore. She wants you to walk into a room and shift the energy. She wants people to ask, what does he do, or who's that guy who seems different? She doesn't need you in a tailored suit or luxury car, but if you have weight, if something about you makes others pause when you speak, then you've just helped her put her crown back on the one she thought she had dropped. A woman's instincts are wired to pick up on social signals. Not because she's shallow, but because she's programmed to choose a man who offers long-term security, both in survival and in social standing. And social standing today is defined by what you've built, what you protect, and how the world responds to you. A man who isn't looking for praise but earns respect always holds a place in a woman's mind. That kind of presence activates her inner sense of, this is the right man. And when she believes she chose right, she'll fight to keep it. But when she starts to doubt, when she sees that her man doesn't draw attention, doesn't command space, doesn't make others take notice, she starts to feel confused. And that confusion creates distance. A woman doesn't want to say, I love him because he's nice. She wants to say, I'm proud of him because other people can't have what I have. That's where real attraction lives. You used to think that love, effort, and loyalty were enough. But if you're not actively building real value in the eyes of the world, her sense of pride in being with you will start to fade. And when pride fades, feelings do too. So don't ask why she seems less interested, even though you're there every day. Ask yourself, who are you becoming? Are you rising? Are you turning into the kind of man others have to respect, even if they don't like you? Or are you just a good boyfriend, consistent, patient, caring, but someone she wouldn't feel proud to introduce in a room full of her peers? A woman's love isn't just something she feels, it's something she wants others to see. And if others don't see anything worth admiring, her subconscious reflects that back with a quiet warning: I've chosen someone no one else even wants to compete for. You can stay silent when others mock you. But if no one mocks you, no one praises you, no one even notices you, you've become a shadow. And women don't fall for shadows. They fall for men that others hesitate to approach. So ask yourself honestly, what does she feel standing next to you? That she has to protect and carry the weight, or that walking beside you, she's elevated, that she feels like she's ahead of every other woman in the room? You don't need to brag or flex. But if you live with depth, direction, and quiet strength, she'll sense it. And she'll want to stay close. Because that's when she feels like she's winning. So what if you're not at your peak yet? What if you're in a hard chapter of life? What can still make a woman feel pulled toward you? That's a question most men carry silently, afraid to ask. It sounds weak, it sounds insecure, but it's actually one of the most honest questions you can ask, because not every man is already there. Most are still in the middle, still recovering, still figuring it out, still working their way up piece by piece. So what does a man offer when he's stuck between not yet and someday? You don't have to pretend. Women have instincts that scan value. They see, they feel, they can sense who's moving forward and who's just stuck. They don't need a man who's already made it. But they know the difference between a man with potential and a man going nowhere. If you don't have much now, but you carry the energy of someone who will, you're still magnetic. Because women don't only fall for the finished version. They're drawn to the momentum. They're drawn to growth. They want to be part of that trajectory. But the key is, you have to actually be moving. Not just say you are, but live like you are, respond like you are, carry yourself like you are every single day. It starts with how you see the world. A man who has little but walks around bitter, blaming, always talking about what went wrong, he's writing his own sign that says, I'm never getting out of this. But a man who might be down right now, but still walks tall, never begs for sympathy, never needs someone to understand him to feel worthy. That man radiates something women pick up on. They look into his eyes at how steady he is, how he's not in a rush, not trying to convince anyone he's a good guy. And they think, why hasn't this man succeeded yet? He's clearly going to. And that question, that spark of curiosity, is where attraction begins. Attraction isn't in your wallet. It's in the signals you send. It's in how you live for something bigger than your emotions in the moment. You're not distracted by whether she texts you back, who she follows, when she was last online, because you're busy building, busy fixing, busy becoming. A woman might not be impressed by you at first, but if you show her that you're not playing games, not chasing validation, not acting like you need attention, she'll start to take notice. Because you don't move like a man with too much free time. You're not auditioning for the role of full-time romantic. You're just living on your own terms, and that alone sets you apart. If you don't have much yet, then draw your boundaries clearly. Make them obvious in how you speak, how you act. Women don't respect indecision. They're drawn to men who show they have principles, standards, lines they won't cross even for love. For example, if she sends a vague text, then goes silent for 3 days, don't complain, don't chase. Respond like a man who's genuinely busy. And the truth is, you are busy. No sulking, no long explanations. Just enough for her to feel you're not sitting around waiting for signals. No need for a cold war, just the calm energy of someone whose emotions are not dictated by someone else's behavior. If you don't have anything yet, then you need to treat your time like it's sacred. No drama, no insecure texting, no free time to overanalyze every one of her moods. Invest in your body, your craft, your skills. She may not see instant results, but she'll feel the momentum in how you move. And nothing is more attractive than a man who is quietly, but undeniably, rising. If you don't have much yet, then the last thing you can afford is needing a relationship to feel complete. Women sense that faster than you think, and they'll step back. They don't want the burden of being the reason you feel whole. They want a man who's already solid, or if he's not yet, is clearly rebuilding himself. Silently, without whining, without needing to be rescued. So look at yourself. What time did you wake up today? How many minutes did you spend building yourself, and how many scrolling for sympathy or comfort? Are you living like a man on the rise, or just one waiting around? Women don't fall in love with men who wait. They fall for men who move. And even if you don't have much to offer right now, if she senses that you've got direction, purpose, and a center of gravity, she'll stay. She'll watch. She'll consider. And eventually, she may decide to step into your world. Not because you're ready, but because you're clear about where you're going. If you're in that "not there yet" phase, here's what you need to do immediately. 1. Cut out meaningless texting. Protect your personal space. 3. Dress neat, clean, intentional, not flashy, just sharp. 4. Respond slowly but with clarity and sincerity. 5. Cut back on complaining even in your head. 6. Read, learn, train, build momentum, and move forward. 7. And if you need to go quiet, make it a purposeful silence. You're not disappearing, but you're not giving anyone the power to control you through your attention. You don't need to rush to prove anything. Just stand your ground. Stay on track. Women can feel it. They always sense who's truly rising and who's just pretending. But what if you pull back and lose her? You're hearing all of this? Protect your energy. Don't react impulsively. Don't live on her signals. You get it. You might even nod along. But right now, there's a thought on repeat in your mind. What if I don't message her? Don't keep in touch. Don't show her I care. And someone else sweeps her off her feet. You know she's getting attention. Maybe she even told you about someone, or maybe you just picked up on it from the way she talks casually but clearly. That guy, he's nice. He's a textbook green flag. He checks every social box, clear, proactive, warm, thoughtful to the tiniest detail. He tells her good night every night, checks in when she misses class, notices when she changes lipstick. Never forgets anniversaries. Never misses a chance to earn points. He's the guy she can post on her story with pride because he looks like the perfect good man. And you, the one watching this video, you're choosing to hold back. You're not rushing, you're not chasing, you're not texting back in a panic the moment she replies late. You're trying to build stability in yourself, but inside, you're not stable. You're scared. What if your self-control makes her choose the warmer guy? So the doubt creeps in. In your head, a silent debate starts. Am I doing this wrong? Maybe I'm being too cold. What if she thinks I don't care, if he's going all in? And I'm just quiet. Isn't that the same as giving up? And this is the moment where so many men lose their center. Because of one thing, fear. I'm not saying your fear makes you weak. It's human. It's real. But if you live inside it, you become a shadow, always reacting to someone else's script. You stop acting on your own values and start doing things you don't even believe in just to hold on to someone who was never really yours. You lose your value and won't even see it happening. Now hear this clearly. Women don't fall for the guy who's nicest. They fall for the one who makes them feel their own value most clearly when they're beside him. And that doesn't come from message counts, or bouquets, or anniversary posts. It comes from the feeling of being led, of being chosen, not just tolerated, of being pulled into the gravity of a man who is so solid in himself she wants to step up just to stay in orbit. She might smile brightly at the sweet guy who texts her every day. But deep down, if he doesn't make her feel like I need to step up to be worthy of this man, then it's just another predictable game. And women can't stay in love long when things get too predictable. Don't mistake being a green flag for being attractive. It's a bonus, but only when it comes with inner strength and self-mastery. If there's only comfort without leadership, she'll eventually feel drained. Women don't want to be cared for like children. They want to stand next to a real man, someone who doesn't have to prove he's stable, because it shows in everything he does. So if you're worried about pulling back and possibly losing her, here's the truth. If she gets swept away by someone else just because you didn't text her for one day, she never really felt your weight in the first place. And if that's the case, you didn't lose anything. You just found out she's not someone who could truly walk beside you on the path you're building. But in most cases, if a woman senses something different about you, a different pace, a kind of cool calm that doesn't shake, she'll notice. She'll remember. She'll check in quietly. She'll come back not with big words, but through her actions. A text, a story that seems like an open door, a look that lingers longer than usual. And that's the moment when you can't react like a boy who just got released from boarding school. Respond with calm, steady energy. Don't overdo it. Don't chase. You're not getting her back. You're simply moving forward with your life and offering someone the chance to walk in step with that momentum. But only if they choose to step in. You're not pulling anyone. Because you understand something simple. If someone doesn't choose to walk in, they'll eventually walk out. And your life isn't built around preventing that. That doesn't mean you're heartless. But your emotions shouldn't be the first thing on the table. What you offer first isn't your feelings, it's your steadiness. What she's looking for first isn't whether you belong to her, it's whether you belong to yourself. Because if you don't have control over yourself, then everything else is just decoration. She might smile at getting 1,000 paper flowers on your anniversary. But what makes her stay is a simple dinner with a man who knows what he wants, speaks little, but clearly looks her in the eye without clinging and makes her feel completely at ease. A man like that doesn't need to give gifts, he is the gift. In the end, what makes a woman want to stay isn't grand gestures. It's quiet steadiness. A silent dinner with a man who doesn't need to say, "I love you so much," because in the way he serves food cracks, the crab shell puts a jacket on her when she's cold. In the way he looks at her and how calmly he handles unexpected work calls like a pro, she knows. She knows this is a man who doesn't get tossed around by his emotions like a child. And only that kind of man can be a safe harbor. What she chooses isn't a show of affection. It's the kind of stability that lets her relax without fear of falling. Why? Because she knows she's easily shaken. She knows she overthinks worries, feels deeply. So if you, the man beside her, also panic, sulk, or need constant reassurance when she doesn't reply, then who's holding the center? Who's keeping both of you grounded? Women won't say this out loud, but they feel it. And they pull away when they sense a man who can't handle his own emotional waves. This is when a line from Marcus Aurelius hits a man is not hurt by the truth. He is hurt by his resistance to it. And the truth is, if you still need her reply, her validation, her attention just to feel okay, then you're not ready to be anyone's anchor. You're still looking for one yourself. Emotional stability doesn't mean you don't feel. It means feeling doesn't throw you off track. It lets you stay silent when you need to, not because you're playing games, but because you understand. It is not events that disturb us, but our judgment about them, as Epictetus said. You don't panic when she ignores your message because you don't see it as a disaster. Maybe she's testing you, maybe she's distracted, maybe she just isn't paying attention. And you don't let any of that define who you are. Women choose men who don't get dragged around by circumstances. They choose men who walk into a room and shift the atmosphere without making noise. Men they don't fully understand, yet still feel pulled toward. That man doesn't have to be rich, handsome, or bring flowers on every holiday. He just needs to be calm enough to support a woman's emotions, which are already naturally unstable by cycle. It's no coincidence that Epictetus once advised, "Don't explain your philosophy. Embody it." You don't need to act stable. You need to become it. You don't need to say, "I'm not jealous." Just don't behave like a man who's lost himself when she texts another guy. You don't need to pretend to be mature. Just don't interrogate her when she goes quiet for a few days. Because women always know exactly which man is living from his center and which one is just trying not to get rejected. And it's only when they see that you're not trying to be chosen that they start to think, losing this man would be my loss. In short, what makes a man truly attractive? Not looks, not money, not sweet talk. It's inner stability, the ability to stay grounded in chaos without losing yourself. The strength to not cheapen your feelings just to be loved back. The kind of energy that makes a woman adjust herself if she wants to keep you around. You're attractive not because you're trying to stand out, but because you're not easy to replace. Nobody's drawn to something everyone can reach, and no one walks away from what makes them level up to deserve it. If you're not rich or successful yet, then you need to live even sharper. Don't let emotions lead. Don't react just to keep someone. Don't act like you've only got one shot in life. Don't try to be smooth with your words. Live in a way that even your silence carries weight. Women don't fall for the man who spoils them the most. They fall for the one who makes them feel safe and led. If any of this hits you, even if it stings a little, drop a comment. I choose power. And if you know this video could shift something in another man's life, like, share, and subscribe to Victory Stoic. This isn't a place for comfort. This is where you come to remember how to be a man worth keeping.